I have the very unfortunate circumstance to come immediately after Dr. Kumar. Not that I disagree with anything you say, sir, but I'm going to talk about technology. Um, but before I do that, I'll just quickly talk a little bit about the company I'm representing. I represent a company called Immersive. It's a Singapore company. It's made up of two companies, Playware and LDR. I'm the founder of Playware, and now I'm also the Chief Technology Officer at LDR, and together we have formed this company called Immersive. And Immersive essentially works across various different sectors. We do a lot of work in healthcare. We do a lot of work in civil defense, Ministry of Home Affairs. We do a lot of work in Ministry of Defense itself. And we've also done an extensive amount of work. Since 2005, I have been working in education technology, innovation. And very fortunately, the team that I work with, we've won many international awards for education, innovation and education technology. So I have a slightly different perspective about technology, and I'm going to be talking about how the adoption of technology is inevitable. I do absolutely believe what Dr. Kumar said, that I think it's extremely important to inculcate, most importantly, in the students, the need or desire to learn. Today, if your student is engaged, that is more important than any technology, any learning curriculum, anything else that is there, because there is so much resource available for them to learn themselves, to upskill themselves. So as teachers, I think it's our moral responsibility to want to inculcate the want for learning in our students. I think one of the main things I wanted to kind of talk about, I'm just going to show this and mention this so that you can see some of the work that we have done. The world's rapidly changing around us because of what's happened in Ukraine and what's happening in the Middle East. And as Dr. Selvan was mentioning, what's happening with the global warming, there's an extreme requirement to change. Nowhere else is this more prevalent. Singapore is a very tiny country. It's basically a city. It's smaller than Mumbai, right? So there is no place for it to defend itself. So Singapore has a military doctrine where they have to proactively attack any perceived threat because there is no scope for defense. Once Singapore gets attacked, they are finished. So the Singapore military is very, very conscious of what's happening across the globe, and they are constantly trying to keep up with the change. So I work with this division of the MINDEF, which is called the Defense Science and Technology Agency, and what we are going through right now is a 8-year process where we are going to basically support the military in changing pretty much all the doctrines of war that the Singapore military adopts. Now, this is extremely important because on a national level, Singapore, again, basically being a city, predominantly has a national service-based military. So the rate of change in military is impacting pretty much every aspect of life in Singapore, because the people who are going to operate these military equipment are everyday people who also do work, right? So the change of weapons technology is also impacting change of civilian technology. And I'm just going to show you some videos of what this kind of means. So every aspect of military life today is basically a video game, right? And students, which is like the soldiers, the crew, at every level, learn how to adapt to the changing requirements of the battlefield in a simulation. The US Army has done a lot of research that talks about simulated environments being 80% as effective as the real world in which to learn new paradigms and skills. So if I need to learn how to do something, perform a task, I am able to start learning in a simulated environment. The next thing I'm going to show you is a project that, I'm just following up with after Dr. Selvan, and I don't know about you, but I really got scared. And I think that there is an urgent need for climate change. So this is a project that we did with the National Institute of Education around spreading awareness of climate change. Oh, sorry, wrong. So that project is just one of the many smart classrooms in Singapore. We were part of the Future Schools project. Future Schools is a project that started in 2005. And the idea was, it was part of the Intelligent Nation 2015 initiative. And so it was trying to imagine what education is going to be like in 2015. Now we are in 2024, and since, there have been many advances since, right? And so, but what I'm trying to show you is that this globally is becoming commonplace. Every child has smart devices. Every classroom has a projector, and that's just a regular classroom. So when we start talking about smart classrooms, you've got immersive reality, you've got mixed reality, you've got virtual reality, and you've got access to AI and all of those other tools as well. I wanted to give a point, very interesting point to what Dr. Kumar was saying, right? The printing press was invented thousands of years after, education systems or schools came into being in 1440, right? He mentioned the next piece of technology is the internet, and that came around in 1983, right? The iPhone now has been around since 2007, right? The first virtual reality commercial headset was released in 2018, and OpenAI ChatGPT was launched in 2022. So I don't know if you can see it, but there is a very clear pattern. The pace of change in disruptive technologies that are going to make their way into our classrooms is only expanding. So I've shown you something from education, I've shown you something from military. I'm going to show you something that we did for tourism, and this is a project for Gardens by the Bay. If you've not been to Singapore, first of all, I'll invite you to please do come. It's a beautiful country. Gardens by the Bay is a $1 billion garden entirely built on reclaimed land. So when I moved to Singapore in 2004, the site for Gardens by the Bay was essentially underwater. So that entire space is built on reclaimed land, and it's massive, right? And so what we've done recently is we've built a spatial computing tour guide for Gardens by the Bay. Sorry. Oops.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So that's a project that's actually Gardens by the Bay leases out to schools. All Singaporean schools come to the Gardens by the Bay and they do learning activities, learning about sustainability, about climate change, about ecology, etc. It's a very experiential classroom, and they do this through this experiential app. But all of this that I've been talking about is the past, right after 2024. What's going to happen in 25, 26, 27? What we can see is that there is, again, the acceleration of the pace of change is not stopped. For the technologists over here, when computers originally came, you could measure the density of a chip in millimeters, right? Now, the latest GPUs that are available publicly in most shops, in computer shops and showrooms, on your mobile devices, those are measured in nanometers. So currently, the most popular and the most advanced chip is a 5 nanometer chip. Recently, TSMC, which is a Taiwan semiconductor, has announced that they have now done a 3 nanometer. Now, it doesn't sound like much, 5 to 3, but it's nanometers. Basically, it's a few atoms, and that's a microchip, right? So what we're going to see is lower consumption of power, but way higher computing ability. And these technologies are coming everywhere. Now, these next images that I'm showing you, they have been generated by artificial intelligence. I did it this morning. I just logged into my Adobe account, went to Firefly, and I just said, what is the workout going to look like in the future? And here you have, I think, what is the personal trainer talking to their trainee, showing them how to do, what their biometrics are and how to do an exercise. Healthcare. We are doing a lot of work with the Singapore General Hospital, with Sing Health Group, with National Neuroscience Center, National Skin Center, National Eye Center. Across all of healthcare in Singapore, the use of technology is unprecedented. To detect melanoma on skin, just using a photograph from your camera phone, all the way to palliative care, right? In everything, there's a massive increase in IoT devices, in spatial computing, in virtual presence, telepresence. I don't know if it's very popular in India yet, but in Singapore now, we rarely ever go to see a doctor directly. We just video call them, have a chat, get our medicines delivered at home. Our public services and utilities are completely changing the way this is done. Garbage collection, for instance, is not done by humans anymore, right? So there are bins. Those bins get cleared automatically 3-4 times a day by robot trucks, right? And I think this is, again, something that's just going to happen, right? Construction and heavy industry are seeing massive changes in what is called construction 4.0, industry 4.0, right? So the world's changing completely. The change is happening globally, personally, and I think in learning it's really important. Technology is changing, the economics are changing, and the geopolitics are changing. Personally, the way we have attention and the way we think and learn is changing. So what should learning do? Learning should adapt us for this pace of change. And that's what I think really is required. And so we've been advocating this idea of learning through play. Play is one of the most fundamental building blocks of learning. When you learn how to walk, you learn through play. When you learn how to measure distance, or in fact even talk, you do it through a process of trial and error in a safe environment, right? And I think that playing to learn should become the norm of classrooms. So I'm just going to stop myself here because I know I've kind of outreached on my time. Thank you so much for being a lovely audience and having me talk here. Thank you.